Welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for streaming with us here on the last day of 2025. It is great to have you here. I want to start with a story we've been following here in our newsroom. It is breaking news, and it involves what the GBI is now investigating, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, after a man was killed this morning by Gwinnett police. He has now been identified, and I want to get into what led up to this situation, because Gwinnett County Police say officers responded around 11:30 last night to a information about a vehicle connected to an accident in another jurisdiction. During their encounter, police say that a man rammed a marked patrol vehicle, disabling it, and drove away. Additional officers later found the vehicle and started a chase, which ended when the driver crashed. Police say the man then ran away from the vehicle, prompting officers to chase the man on foot. Officers reportedly issued multiple loud verbal commands, but the man did not comply. An officer attempted to deploy a taser, but police say it was not successful. And that was ultimately when police say the man pulled out a gun, prompting an officer to fire their weapon at that man, ultimately striking him. He fell to the ground, but then turned and pointed the gun towards the officers. Police say that's when more shots were fired, ultimately killing that man. He was identified just this morning as 39-year-old Brent Elvin Ivy of Decula. Officers have provided a little bit more information as saying that the man was driving a car that was wanted in connection to a bolo released by the Roswell Police Department. They did not say why Roswell police were looking at this vehicle, so that's something that we're trying to figure out and a question that we have. Also, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is, as is standard, taking the lead on this case, and they're going to perform an autopsy on Ivy. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we learn new information on this developing story. But in the meantime, I want to bring you back here to the newsroom because we're following a few stories here. And one of them, Tyler, rather heartbreaking. I mean, we were in our morning meeting. You were telling us about this mother who lost their 10-year-old in a hit and run. And now we're learning a little bit more about how they may have lost multiple family members.
Yeah, absolutely heartbreaking. This happened just days after Christmas in Clayton County. This 10-year-old boy was crossing the street in Clayton County when a driver hit him. This is the boy's photo right here. He's identified as 10-year-old Caleb Jackson of Ellenwood. Clayton County Police say Sunday, just after 9 p.m., he was hit at the intersection of Riverdale Road and Garden Walk Boulevard. Investigators say the man who hit him took off from the scene. Medics rushed Caleb to a local hospital, but he did not survive his injuries. The family says Caleb was crossing the street with his older brother and cousins on the way to a bus stop when he was hit. The family tells Fox 5 a Good Samaritan saw this happen and followed the driver, allowing police to arrest him just a matter of hours later. That driver is identified as David Blanchard, and he has been charged with homicide by vehicle and hit and run. He currently is in the Clayton County Jail, obviously facing charges. He is being held without bond, according to jail records. And the family told us during an interview this morning that they just want justice. Take a listen to what the mom had to say, along with his aunt.
I really hope he does face consequences.
You see this kind of stuff on TV, but then when it hits your family, you be like, how can somebody hit a child, any person, but especially a child, and leave that child just laying there, not knowing whether or not the child is alive or, gone.
Yeah, just absolutely heartbreaking. Caleb's family says this has been a trying year. Just 9 months ago, his infant sister died of SIDS. Take a listen to how his family described him and what he got for Christmas just days before. That has the aunt just absolutely devastated.
Caleb was a great kid. He was full of personality. He would just walk in the room and just randomly start dancing.
He was just my heart. I ran around Christmas trying to get him everything he wanted. He basically wanted the iPhone. So I got him the iPhone, and he called me. He said, "Aunt Belinda, thank you. Thank you so much." He was just so appreciative of whatever we gave him, but I wanted to get that for him because, like she said, he was just a super kid. He was just good.
And you can just obviously understand how this family is just absolutely devastated about what happened. Not only losing a family member, just a baby, just a matter of months ago, now losing another family member before the end of this year. That mother is obviously going to be very heartbroken to have to bury her loved one, her son, in just a matter of days. Right now, they're doing a GoFundMe that we just received within the last hour or so. We're showing it to you on the screen right now. It says honoring his memory and supporting his family. They're trying to raise money for his funeral. This was just created probably maybe about 12:30 this afternoon, and they're already raised $200. They're hoping to get about 9,000. We're of course going to put the link for this on our website, fox5atlanta.com, and of course on our Fox local app for folks. This is, I think, any time of year it is very tragic to lose a family member or lose a child. For it to happen right around Christmas, he was crossing the street trying to go to a bus stop. He was with his older brother and cousins, and this happened. And the family said, you can understand if someone made a mistake and they stopped.
Right.
For them, the fact that this driver allegedly took off after hitting the child, that's the most heartbreaking part here. They could forgive, but not the fact that this person apparently took off. But thankfully, that Good Samaritan, though, followed them, got the tag number, and that helped police. This happened about 9:10 on Sunday night. According to the jail log, he was booked into the Clayton County Jail by 9:08, I believe, the next morning. So less than 12 hours later, they already had closure in this case, and now obviously they're going to wait justice with the court system in Clayton County.
Incredible to think that that person saw what happened and said, hey, I want to make sure that this person faces justice, or at least knows what happened here, because they were able to witness it and say, hey, I don't want this person taking off. So Tyler, thank you so much for bringing this story to our attention and sharing how we can help this family. Absolutely, my heart goes out to them. So Tyler, thank you so much. All right, guys, we're going to move on to a story that has a lot of you talking. So many of you commenting on the monks as they walk for peace here across the United States. And as we take a look at this, we know that 19 Buddhist monks held a peace rally in Decatur. This actually happened yesterday. They're making this 2,300-mile journey from Texas to Washington, D.C. And we know that thousands of people actually gathered to pack the Beacon Municipal Complex last night to welcome the monks. And one thing to keep in mind as we look at this is that not only were there just a lot of members of the public there showing solidarity and their appreciation for the monks and their message, but there were also other leaders there as well. DeKalb County CEO Lorraine Cochran Johnson, as well as Senator Raphael Warnock, many high-profile guests all there to support the monks' message and welcome them into Decatur area. So one of the things also that I want to let you guys know about is that when we see what's going on today, we know that the monks are going to be traveling just a little bit more. And we're going to be checking in with our Denise Dillon here coming up in just a little bit about where the monks are headed this afternoon, what to expect, and where we are going. So we'll continue to keep you updated with that. But we do know that they are going to Snellville today, where they hope to be reunited with one of the monks who was actually seriously injured in the journey earlier. They're going to get there, or rather they got there around 11 this morning, but they were asking visitors to wait until early this afternoon so the monks could have the opportunity to eat, rest, and recoup their strength before greeting the public. So there is a lot that we expect here as this has been unfolding. We're going to check in with Denise Dillon as to part of their journey. So if you guys have questions about the monks, where they're headed next and what's happening, be sure to let me know and we can ask Denise. But this is a 2,300-mile journey that the monks are taking from Texas to Washington, D.C., and they expect to get to Washington, D.C. sometime in February. So we'll keep you updated on that story. But I don't know if you guys remember, we have talked here about a couple in the past few weeks that was facing some really tragic health outcomes. And it's just devastating what they've been going through because they were facing very serious health challenges. They're from Peachtree City, and they were struggling with their finances as well. And Doug Evans joined us live for the conversation. He joins us live again to share an update. Doug, it's been so heartwarming to see the community rally around this couple, and at the same time, I know you have some tragic updates to share with us as well.
That's right. Good afternoon, Ariel. Good afternoon, everyone. Listen, we've told you about Wesley and Melody Woods of Peachtree City. He has a rare neurological disorder. He requires 24/7 care. His wife, Melody, was the caregiver for him for the past 3 years. Well, she was recently diagnosed with cancer, with a rare cancer, and is facing a long recovery after surgery in the new year. Well, Melody did update me recently on her prognosis, her diagnosis. She met with her surgical team at Emory Hospital, and they delivered a bit of bad news. Apparently, the salivary gland cancer that she has spread to both sides of her mouth. She knew that she was going to lose a portion of her tongue. Now they tell her to regain her speech, she will lose almost most of it if they can rebuild it at all. Just devastating news to her. They also tell her that she will be in a very long and grueling recovery. They said without the surgery, she had a life expectancy of about 18 months. With the surgery, they give it about a 50% success rate. So she's going ahead with the surgery. She feels like she has to. And she's still very concerned. Number one concern, still, with all that she is facing, is the welfare of her husband, Wesley. He has progressive supranuclear palsy, PSP. It's a rare neurological disorder. As I said, he requires 24/7 care, and she'll no longer be able to provide that after surgery. And the silver lining to all of this, believe it or not, there is a silver lining, is the generosity and the love that people have been showing this couple all over the country. When we first aired this story just a couple of weeks ago, their GoFundMe sat at about $22,000, and it had stalled out. And then after our story, it shot up to $79,000 as people all across the country rally to support them and share their story. Unfortunately, they remain short of the goal that is needed, $120,000 for Wesley's full-time care for a year while she recovers from this very traumatic surgery. And so friends are rallying again to help them and to spread the word of the unfortunate setback for Melody, as well as the continuing need for both of them. Let's hear from Melody Woods now.
We don't have the money to pay for it. And I'm going to be in Winship trying to get better, and I don't want to be put under anesthesia, scared to death of what's happening with my husband during all of this. I don't feel like I can do it if I don't know that he is safe before I go to sleep.
Boy, you could just hear the fear in Melody's voice. Just a really heartbreaking situation for this family, a family that's well known here in Peachtree City, in the charitable and giving community of Peachtree City. They've helped raise funds. They've helped do all kinds of things for cancer themselves, sponsoring walks and things like that over the years, and well known here. And then all of a sudden, in the last 3 years, they've had these tremendous health setbacks that are not covered by their insurance. We're going to have more on this story coming up on Fox 5 at 4, 5, and 6 tonight. In the meantime, you can learn more about Melody and Wesley Woods by going online at fox5atlanta.com. You can also go to the GoFundMe website. That's where their fundraising thing is. And this was set up by friends, not them. And you can see that for yourself. Just search on the name Melody Woods, Melodie, right?
Yeah.
Not Y, I-E. And you can find out and see what that goal is and see how much money they've raised. Man, Ariel, just makes you appreciate what you have, the good health that you have, the blessings that you have in life when you see what other families are enduring.
Doug, yes, and I think it's so heartwarming that the community has rallied around them and is working to give back to them the way they've given back to their community, because at the end of the day, I mean, if your insurance does not cover your cancer treatments, it's so expensive. And it doesn't matter, you know, if you have a house or maybe even have some assets to you, that can really cripple you financially. Just not having the means to be able to afford that, and knowing that their friends and family have stepped up in their community. I mean, I'm so glad they have that community, because you can see how devastated they are. So, Doug, I appreciate you as always bringing this story to our attention. I know we talked about it when you first learned of it, and now knowing the community's rallying around them is just extra special. So, as we continue here, looking forward to seeing what else you get and how the community continues to support them. So, Doug, thanks so much.
Thanks, Ariel.
Okay, guys, we're going to move on here really quickly, because I know some of you have been asking and want to know about what to do for New Year's Eve this evening. And this year we actually have a lot of things going on. One thing from the city of Atlanta. So I want to tell you what you need to know about Atlanta's New Year's Eve celebrations. You're looking at video of the iconic Peach Drop. If you've ever been to Underground Atlanta, you know about this. But this year, the city of Atlanta is hosting Countdown Over ATL. This is their New Year's Eve celebration, and it involves a drone show and synchronized fireworks. It's replacing the iconic Peach Drop there that you see in downtown Atlanta, but it's still going to involve a peach. Of course, it's Atlanta. How could it not? A digital drone peach is actually going to start the countdown at midnight, or to midnight, around 11:45 tonight. That drone peach is going to come out. Then 12 minutes of fireworks are going to follow at midnight. Mayor Andre Dickens says you should be able to see these displays, the drone and the fireworks afterwards, across the city. He's hoping this decentralized approach to New Year's is going to make the celebration more accessible to people living throughout the city. It's also an idea to keep things safer, because it's going to disperse the crowds a bit, and normally these large crowds would gather for the Peach Drop in Underground Atlanta. The drone peach will be most visible if you live in Midtown and downtown, but an additional drone display is planned for the northwest side part of Atlanta. So if you live there, you don't have to miss out. It's a good reminder to keep your pets inside, use noise reduction tools if you have them, and just beware of family members or others who may have sensory sensitivities to fireworks and other New Year's Eve type festivities. So just something to keep in mind, because this will likely be loud. But going up to New York City now, I want to let you know what we're seeing there as we prepare for the ball drop in New York City. We know that millions are expected to pack Times Square for the celebrations, and final preparations have been underway. The ball you are looking at, it's incredible. It's the iconic Times Square ball, and it's going up a 139-foot pole before it takes a 1-minute plunge into 2026. This is the 9th and newest iteration of the New Year's Eve ball, and this Constellation ball is the largest yet. It measures 12.5 feet in diameter, and it weighs over 12,000 pounds. That's not all. As you can see, it's adorned with 5,280 crystals and LED pucks, which is nearly double the number of crystals of the previous ball. So every year this just gets bigger, heavier, and just, you know, more intense, I guess you could say, more spectacular. Security is top of mind there in New York City. We do know that we're also going to see a lot of law enforcement there, as you might expect. NYPD has been working on this. They're going to have canine teams, officers in plain clothes throughout the train, different transportation areas. And keep in mind, this won't be the only time we see this ball drop this year, because for America's 250th birthday celebrations, we're going to see a ball drop on July 4th. So that's definitely something we're going to keep you guys up to date on as we progress into the new year. Here locally, some stories that we're following. A judge has dropped charges, RICO charges, against 61 defendants charged in the Stop Cop City protests or movement, as you could say. This was a Fulton County judge who made the decision yesterday, formally dismissing those charges. Judge Kevin Farmer ruled that Georgia's Attorney General Chris Carr didn't have the legal authority to bring the case. Further, the judge said that Carr didn't follow proper procedure in order to secure this indictment. Under the Georgia Constitution, the Attorney General actually needs a written request from the governor or a specific legislative permission to actually bypass local attorneys and prosecute these sorts of cases. So basically, the judge is saying, you know, Chris Carr did not get a request from the governor, nor did he get any kind of request from a legislative body to be able to pursue this case. So after months of legal challenges, the judge ruled that it wouldn't move forward. It essentially guts the state's argument that was opposition to Atlanta's Public Safety Training Center constituted a criminal enterprise. The judge is saying it's a slippery slope, not so fast. We do know 5 defendants are still facing domestic terrorism charges. That does fall under the Attorney General's specific statutory power, those charges. Not the RICO charges, but domestic terrorism does. So that's something that we will continue to keep you updated on if you have any questions. But another story I want to keep you guys informed about, because if you missed it, one thing that we have been following here in our newsroom actually involves a case that happened earlier this month. We do know that the Bojangles shift manager is accused of murdering a co-worker's father. He appeared in court yesterday. You're looking at Maurice Evans, and a judge denied his bond, saying that the judge believes that Evans poses a risk to the community, a potential danger to the community, and the judge wants to keep witnesses who saw this shooting safe. Prosecutors say Evans shot an unarmed man, Dominique Goodman, 8 times, including 3 shots to his back while standing over him. Now, this deadly confrontation all started at the Palmetto Bojangles just weeks before Christmas. We saw a video in court that showed a heated argument, and you were seeing it just a little bit ago, but it showed a heated argument between Maurice Evans and an employee, Amari Goodman. That's that video I'm talking about, showing the argument. The dispute reportedly started over an open drive-through window and escalated to concerns about food cross-contamination. During the arguments, Amari told Evans she would call her father Dominique for help. She then accidentally pocket-dialed her dad, who heard the commotion and rushed to the restaurant when he couldn't reach her by phone. Once he arrived, Dominique and Evans reportedly exchanged words, and then the father, according to prosecutors, reportedly swung at his daughter's supervisor. That's when investigators testified that the father was unarmed and Evans pulled out his gun and fired it. The court learned Amari and her cousin, who also worked at that restaurant, were so afraid of Maurice Evans that they fled the state of Georgia. Evans faces numerous charges. This is a story that we're definitely going to keep an eye on as we progress into the new year. It's something that's had a lot of you talking. So if you have questions, I'm looking at your comments here on YouTube and TikTok. Let me know and I'll see if I can answer them. As we continue here, one quick story I want to get to you guys on actually involves a fraud case. This has been something that we have seen a lot of people talking about on social media, definitely making waves, and it involves daycares in Minneapolis. So Homeland Security has confirmed they are conducting a fraud investigation. Federal prosecutors say that at least half of the roughly $18 billion in federal funds that supported programs in the state have been stolen. The latest investigations actually stem from a viral video where a conservative independent journalist, Nick Shirley, showed several daycares in Minnesota that he says are abandoned but still receiving taxpayer funding. A manager at Quality Learning Center says there were no kids there. This is one of the daycares in question because the video was shot outside of their regular operating hours. He calls the claims completely false and says they're hurting the Somali community where many of the centers are based there in Minneapolis. But this whole story and investigation that we're seeing unfold does follow multiple years of long fraud investigations in Minnesota that have resulted in multiple convictions. Federal prosecutors now say $9 billion in federal funds have been stolen, including money needed to feed needy children. Most of the defendants in that case are Somali Americans, and the scandals have some critics calling for Governor Tim Walz to resign. The governor's office has said that the governor has worked to crack down on fraud and supports these criminal prosecutions. So we'll keep you updated on this story as we learn any new information. But coming up next, we're going to check with meteorologist Alex Forbes about what to expect with your weather. Welcome back in, you guys. I am Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. We're going to talk about the question on everyone's mind. Alex, how cold is it going to be for New Year's Eve?
Yeah, so not as cold as it has been across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. Don't get me wrong, right? Not shorts weather, but it's not going to be wind chills in the teens or anything like that. In fact, we've made our way to 50 degrees now in Atlanta, 45 in Canton, 45 in Gainesville, 44 up in Blairsville, 47 in Dalton. So that's the actual air temperature. We do still have a bit of a breeze outside, though. So when you factor that in, you get a wind chill of 39 right now in Canton, 44 in Covington, 45 in LaGrange, and 44 over in Rome. But here we go now into the afternoon, right? Temperatures only touching that 50-degree mark will begin to slide back down into the 40s a little later on this evening. And I don't think there's anything big going on tonight, right? Pretty quiet night across Metro
Very
Atlanta.
funny, Alex.
No, I think it's going to be a very busy night as we bring in 2026. I love this new shot of the city we have. So going down the connector there. Temperatures falling from the 40s down into the 30s. All right, wind chills, they're going to be in the mid 30s across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. So this is your forecast now for the drone show and for the fireworks show. The drone show gets started at 11:45, as Ariel was talking about earlier, and then the fireworks are right at midnight. And this is supposed to be visible basically up and down the connectors, the way I've been looking at it, right? From Midtown down through downtown. And the mayor was talking about how people can just go out in their backyards and see it, or you can go somewhere and it's going to be an all-encompassing event instead of underground Atlanta. So I'm excited to see what happens there. Hopefully it's not a disappointment because my hopes are kind of high. Okay, let's talk about this. The drought monitor. We just got an update to this. Everybody that Fox 5 covers in North and Central Georgia is now in at least moderate drought, which is not good news, particularly on a night like tonight where we have fireworks going off across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. Look up towards the north and to the west, all of Fannin County, all of Gilmer County, and then extending back in towards the Chattanooga area, now in severe drought. Likewise, down south and toward Columbus, looking at a pocket of severe drought there as well. So tonight and tomorrow, outdoor burning, we'll come back to that in a second. Let me talk about fireworks first. I'm not saying don't light off the fireworks, okay? But I would say check with your municipality, check with your county, check with your city, make sure it's still legal with conditions like this, because I think in a handful of spots it's not. But if you are going to launch fireworks tonight, enjoy it, but keep an eye on those embers as they come down, right? If you see one come down in a spot that you know has some really dry grass around, just, make sure the dry grass doesn't turn into something else into the evening hours. Now, any outdoor burning plans today, that in no uncertain terms is not a good idea. Likewise, tomorrow, that is not a good idea. It's not going to be a good idea until we get some rain in here on Friday and into Saturday. I'm really thinking more of a Saturday morning type of thing, but showers as early as sunset on Friday night. Temperatures for this time of year should be around 54, 55, so we're going to be above that mark into next week. And I would say January, by and large, probably going to run a couple degrees above average, but that's to be expected with this type of setup that we've had this winter. Not to say, right, that we won't see outbreaks of cooler air. It's just that when all is said and done, that number is probably going to be a little higher.
Okay, very good to know. I am looking forward to some temps in the 60s after the cool stretch that we have had, Alex. Right. But all in all, pretty good New Year's Eve forecast.
Glad I could deliver.
Yes, thank you so much.
I worked hard
guys, on it. Say thank you to Alex. Alex, thank you so much.
Yep.
I will see you back here at 3 o'clock. You guys, I have a couple other stories to get to really quickly. In the new year, there are a few things that you will not be able to buy with your SNAP benefits, and I want to talk about that, what they are and why this is. There are some cuts coming to SNAP benefits and a minimum wage hike in some states. We do know that Americans in 5 states who get government help paying for groceries are going to see new limits on soda, candy, and other foods. So limits on those food items that you can buy with your SNAP benefits. It's all a part of this push by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to make America healthy again. The SNAP bans take effect Thursday in Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, Utah, and West Virginia. So a lot of states throughout the Midwest. They're the first of at least 18 states to enact waivers that would ban the purchase of certain foods through SNAP. Meanwhile, workers at the bottom end of the pay scale in 19 states are set to see minimum wage rises on New Year's Day. 3 other states are also planning minimum wage increases later in the new year, and 20 states have opted to leave leave their minimum wage at the federal minimum of $7.25 an hour. So we're going to keep you updated. If any changes come here to Georgia, we will let you know. But as so many of you stream with us here from all across the country, I want to make sure that you are aware of those changes and what is happening. As we move here nationally, I want to let you know about something that President Trump is considering. At this moment, we know that the president is weighing a lawsuit against the Federal Reserve, specifically its chairman, Jerome Powell. And this all stems from a costly renovation project there at the Federal Reserve. The latest Fed meeting is showing doubts also about future rate cuts. This is something that has definitely been irksome to President Trump, as he's wanted to bring federal interest rates down. But President Trump's latest jab at Jerome Powell is a threat of legal action. The president had said, quote, "We're thinking about bringing a suit against Powell for incompetence," end quote. On top of constant calls for the chairman to resign for not lowering rates fast enough, President Trump has criticized a costly renovation of the Fed building. He said that it's cost too much money and that the price continues to go up. Trump and Powell have sparred over the building's costs back in July. You may have remembered when they traded words back and forth about how much was really being spent. Despite the public calls from the president also for deeper rate cuts, the Fed has moved at its own pace to bring rates down in its 3 meetings this year. We do know that the Fed's most recent meeting shows officials divided over future cuts. Right now, only one more cut is predicted for all of 2026. And some Fed officials are worrying that inflation's not going to drop below that goal of 2%. Since the December meeting, new data has shown strong growth spurred by consumer spending. Jerome Powell was originally appointed as Fed chair by President Trump, and his current term expires in May. So whether or not he sticks around, we're going to see what happens. Keep in mind, the Federal Reserve is trying to balance these different policy ideas of making sure inflation does not go up too high by lowering rates, and then at the same time cutting rates so that the job market can flourish. So definitely something that we're going to keep an eye on as we progress here. But in the meantime, coming up, I want to check in with our Health Beat reporter, Rebecca Grapevine. We're going to talk a little bit about where we stand with vaccines rates here in Georgia, what some Georgia parents are telling her, especially as we see some measles cases grow in certain parts of the United States. We're going to talk about that coming up. Welcome back in. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for streaming along here with us on the last day of 2025. It is great to have you here. We want to talk a little bit now about where we're headed with the child vaccine schedule. We know that the federal government is expected to shift its guidance here in the new year. So I'd like to bring in Health Beat reporter Rebecca Grapevine to help make sense of this. Rebecca, thanks so much for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Rebecca, tell me a little bit. I know you've been speaking with some Georgia parents about their reactions to this. First, start off, if you don't mind, where are we headed in terms of, give people a context, if you will, for how things are changing and maybe why?
Yes, top line, there is a federal committee called the Advisory Committee on Vaccine Policy, on Immunization Policy, and it meets every once in a while, every quarter or so, to make decisions about vaccines. This year, it's been packed with controversy. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. appointed a whole set of new members, and they've done some things and could potentially do some more things in the new year around childhood vaccines that doctors and public health experts are concerned about. And one of those things is they could change this schedule that, new parents know you've got to take your kid in on a schedule to get vaccines. They could potentially change that schedule and delay or cut some of those vaccines, and that's caused a lot of controversy.
So how have the parents you've spoke to and your reporting reacted to this? I think at the end of the day, a lot of parents, every parent, of course, wants to make sure that they make the best decisions for their child. And I'm curious, as you've reported on this topic, what they've been telling you.
Well, we're really lucky here in Georgia because we have a team of researchers at Emory that regularly survey Georgia parents. So we know what parents in our state are thinking. We don't have to look to national data. And they did a survey in early November of about 1,000 parents. And despite all the controversy, 9 in 10, or almost 9 in 10 Georgia parents still strongly or somewhat support routine child vaccines. And that's stayed pretty steady since they did a similar survey earlier this year. So we might see a lot of headlines, but we know from this data about our Georgia parents that almost 9 in 10 support childhood vaccines.
So, Rebecca, as you were covering this, was there anything that surprised you or things you didn't expect that you might have found out?
Well, I think it was surprising that so many parents are still kind of in lockstep with their doctors. And on that note, another important point is, who do parents trust when it comes to getting info on vaccines? They said 93% of these Georgia parents said that they trust their child's doctor the most. And then in the 80% range, they trust state and local public health. And almost 3/4 trust the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So even though there's controversy among Georgia parents, there's still a lot of trust for these traditional sources of information on what should I do for my kid.
Yeah, I think that is what is interesting, right? Because we do see a lot of the back and forth, but when you actually have conversations with real people, kind of get their feedback, you find it may not be as black and white as it seems. And maybe things are, people do trust their doctors and they do want to make sense of this. At the end of the day, they say, hey, this is the person I'm trusting with my medical care. So as kind of a final question or looking ahead, where do we go from here? I know in the new year, we are expecting that guidance to potentially change. How do you think that parents do you think they're just going to continue making decisions with their doctors? Doctors may deviate and say, hey, here's what I recommend, even though it's different from maybe what federal health officials recommend. What do you see as kind of the way forward?
Yes, there's definitely going to be more voices in the mix now. One great source of information a lot of doctors are looking to is the American Academy of Pediatrics, which has kind of maintained a steady, very strong pro-vaccine stance through all this. And one doctor I talked to said, look, we always have a conversation with our parents. Whatever the federal guidance is, we have a conversation before we give the vaccine, whatever the vaccine is, and talk to parents about it. And we're going to continue to do that going into the new year and even as guidance changes, because it's really, like you said, it's a one-on-one relationship or a family and a doctor's relationship that is at the core of making these decisions. So we'll have to see how the policy changes actually impact us here in Georgia on the ground over the coming months.
Rebecca, I always appreciate our conversations. At 3 o'clock, I know I'm going to chat with you about MedShare and how this can help Georgia families and where we go with our medical care. So I'm looking forward to that conversation at 3 o'clock. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me, sharing some of your reporting on what families are facing with vaccines here in Georgia. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Ariel. See you soon.
Okay, see you again. Guys, I want to quickly get to a couple other stories here because as we approach the new year, you know, a lot of people are always talking about their goals, their resolutions for a new beginning. If you have a goal or a resolution this year, drop it in our TikTok chat or on YouTube. I'm taking a look. We can talk about it. I do know that we had a couple questions in our YouTube and TikTok chats. One of them was about the Palmetto Bojangles story. Some people were asking if that Bojangles was still open. Yes, it is. And someone else actually is here on our TikTok commenting, basically talking about the federal minimum wage. We were talking about that story, saying that it's too low and the feds haven't increased it fast enough. So something interesting that we're going to be keeping an eye on for you guys, but I'm sure you're probably not alone in those sentiments because I can see other people reacting. But if you have some goals in the new year, as you try to make sense of 2026, maybe you want to be fitter, you want to be healthier, more traveled, more well-read, whatever it is, I want to share some practical advice that we're getting from health experts on how to make sure that these goals stick. So one of the things that they say is don't try to make it too difficult, make it measurable, really define what your goal is and start small. Charisse Fields, a clinical psychologist at Texas A&M University, is telling us that there are a few tools that we can use. And she says that mainly make sure our goals are specific and smart. Make sure there's a way that we can measure them, and maybe don't wait for an entire year to try to reach your goal. Put benchmarks and progress points throughout the year that check in with you, yourself. Try to understand, hey, how much progress do I want to have done by this month, by that month? Because if you get to the end of next year and your goal is too big and lofty and not well defined, you may find yourself going into 2027 no closer to where you want to be. Lapses can happen no matter what, and Fields says she encourages people to stick with their plan and look to making changes if they are warranted. But at the end of the day, make sure it's something that you can measure that is attainable. Finally, I want to let you know about something absolutely crazy that unfolded in Germany. Remember the Louvre heist? Well, I have another heist. The one, though, in Germany, not in France. And we know that the thieves are on the run still after pulling off this brazen bank heist in Germany. Police say several suspects drilled into a bank vault and took off with at least $35 million. That was worth of money and valuables from safe deposit boxes. The bank says at least 2,700 customers were affected by the theft in this western city of Germany. Police say the suspect gained access through an underground parking garage. They're now combing through surveillance video, trying to make sense of this all. They found that masked people were inside a stolen vehicle, and a police photo shows a massive hole where they believe a large drill was used to break through the vault's basement wall. Absolutely incredible. The bank was closed today when about 200 people showed up demanding to get inside. I mean, can you imagine you have a safe deposit box at a bank and you found out that all your belongings have been stolen and you can't get in to try to figure out what's happening or what's going on? That is the story for all those people you see out there right now. So this is something that we're going to keep an eye on as we get any new information from police if they're able to arrest anyone. But this unfolding in Germany. Guys, coming up, we are going to talk about what to expect with our New Year's Eve celebrations. I know a lot of you have had questions about what to expect with Atlanta's celebration, maybe Peachtree City and their other things that they were doing earlier today, and where else you can celebrate the new year. Chris Rosenthal is going to help us make sense of it coming up. Welcome in, you guys. I am Ariel Onstead. It is great to have you here streaming along with us. We are covering all things New Year's Eve, and I want to take us live to Dubai, where you can see celebrations underway at the Burj Khalifa. This is one of the tallest, if not the tallest, building in the world. And as you can imagine, Dubai goes all out for pretty much everything it does. And New Year's Eve, no exception. This is one of the world's most watched New Year's Eve celebrations. It happens in Dubai, and we know that they're going to have an incredible show. It's underway right now, combining fireworks, LED imagery, and lasers. We know that people watch this. Millions of people watch this from the ground there in Dubai as well as online. And I'm looking up what time it is in Dubai exactly right now, 11:48. So they have just about 12 minutes to go until the clock strikes midnight there in Dubai. Just insane to watch this because they have dancers in the water. I saw boats a little bit ago. So we're going to keep an eye on this to see if we can go back live. You can see a boat with trees in it, other performers. Like I said, Dubai goes out every year. A little closer to home, though, we are going to be mixing it up on an iconic Atlanta tradition, the peach drop, switching it to something that's a little more accessible. Chris Rosenthal joins us live to explain how we can enjoy New Year's here closer to home. Chris, I don't see any dancers behind you, no water, no world's tallest buildings, but I do see Piedmont Park, which looks like a great place to watch some fireworks tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the city of Atlanta says that, you know, downtown and midtown are areas where you can watch this sort of all-encompassing drone show tonight, starting around 11:45 with fireworks around midnight. They say, you know, just go if you're in Atlanta, you can look outside and should be able to see them. And of course, encourage you can go to some restaurants or local bars that may be open and might have a rooftop, and that would, of course, probably help you get a good view of it. But there have been celebrations going on all throughout the day. Celebrations even for kids who may not be able to stay up at so late. I was in Peachtree City earlier today where they had a noon Year's Eve party at noon. At noon they did a countdown. It was actually really cute, and I think we have some video of that we can play, and some interviews with some of the kids. Let's listen in.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Did you enjoy the New Year's Eve celebrations?
It's one of my favorite events, actually.
Really? Why is that? What was the best part?
The best part was getting to spend time with my friends and family. That's the best part.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And so, did you like the balloon drop too?
Definitely.
I like the dance party. Me and my family go out to eat too.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Of course, that was at the Avenue in Peachtree City. They've done this for a few years, and a lot of people showed up. Of course, if you missed that, there's still some family-friendly and kid-friendly early New Year's Eve celebrations. In the Battery, they'll be doing a countdown at 8 o'clock for the kids, so you can still make that. And then at Stone Mountain Park, I was actually there visiting yesterday. They were showing me around, and at 8 o'clock, they're going to have a drone show with the fire drones, they call it, with fireworks.
Yeah.
And then at 9 o'clock they'll have their countdown.
Chris, I think you should get an award for speaking to the cutest kids today. They loved the new year. They're into it.
Absolutely, and it's great that the kids get to participate too. You know, I mean, they may be in bed at midnight, but at a stroke of noon, they were able to celebrate, which is really cool.
I love it. Chris, thanks for letting us know how we can celebrate. I know we're going to check back in with you at 3 o'clock. Maybe scope out some good places in Piedmont Park and save me a spot so I know where to put my blanket tonight when I go to watch. We'll check back in with you, Chris.
Cold, but sure.
Yeah, a little cold. You're not wrong. Thanks, Chris. Okay, guys. Speaking of the new year, a lot of fans are going to be bringing in the new year in New Orleans as they watch the Georgia Bulldogs take on the Ole Miss Rebels. And so our Georgia Chambers is down in New Orleans with our sports team, looking at the Bulldogs as they get ready for the Sugar Bowl. She talked to some fans from both teams about what they're looking forward to with this matchup tomorrow. Let's listen.
Go Dogs.
Go Rebs.
Go Dogs.
Why do you think Georgia is going to win the Sugar Bowl?
I think our experience, our coach, and I think we're mentally prepared. We've been in this moment before.
We're real confident Georgia's going to win this game big, and then we're going to head out to Arizona.
None of them. I don't like none of them now. They're playing.
You got to pick one.
Ole Miss Georgia. If I had to choose.
Georgia, man. Georgia. The Bulldogs, man. Georgia.
I like Chamberlain. I'm gonna say Ole Miss.
Oh, but I like you. You said
Georgia. Georgia.
Can I get a Go Dogs?
Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
Why do you think Ole Miss will win the Sugar Bowl?
We're just the better team.
What makes you think they're the better team?
Running back's better, quarterback's better, whole offense is better.
What you got there? It's a hurricane. I gotta get a hurricane as soon as I get here.
You're supposed to say it's water.
What? Water? Yes, it takes water to have a hurricane.
With Lane Kiffin gone, Pete Golding now in charge, what do you think about the new man?
He's better. Simple as that.
Any question I ask, are you just going to say they're better?
Yep.
We feel fine with Pete. We don't even care about whatever his name is, so we're good.
You're just going to agree with everything she said?
Absolutely. 100%.
I think they're going to give us their best effort, but I don't think it'll be enough still.
How long have you been a Georgia fan?
My whole life. I was born and bred Georgia Bulldog. I'm 64 years old, and all my clothing is red and black.
Go Dogs! Go Dogs! Sick 'em!
It's hard to beat a team twice.
I hope not.
Go Dogs!
Go Dogs!
Well, it looks like a lot of fun in New Orleans. Of course, Georgia and the entire sports team is going to keep us up to date as that game starts. We will keep you updated right here on Fox Local, Fox 5 Atlanta, making sure you know what to expect. But in the meantime, I'd like to go back to Dubai, where this insane New Year's Eve show is underway. I see a piano on a floating moat. They're in the water outside the Burj Khalifa. If you know, that is the tallest building in the world. You see fountains. There's an LED show on the surface of that building. The Burj Khalifa, in case you don't know, constructed in 2010 and has been the world's tallest building ever since. It stands at more than 2,000 feet tall. This New Year's Eve celebration is really just one of the most spectacular every year. Millions watch online. They watch there in person. You can see singers, other performers. We saw people on a boat just a little bit ago. You see some violinists there on a boat, and the conductor directing this, the cello there as well, and bass. So just absolutely insane festivities. One thing as we look ahead to actually when New Year's Eve is happening in Dubai, we have about 4 minutes. So 4 o'clock our time, the clock will strike midnight there in Dubai. And this is going to be happening here in just a little bit. Right now it is roughly 11, just past 11:56 or so there in Dubai. So very soon we're going to have that update. Or yes, thank you, 3 p.m. our time. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. At 3 o'clock, we are going to see those fireworks go off. So maybe if you hang out here with me in just a little bit, we can get an update as to maybe seeing those fireworks. I'm going to do some timing magic here to see if I can get you guys to see those fireworks live. Coming up in just a little bit, we have some time. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to come back and take a look at these fireworks coming up in just a little bit. I can see a lot of you joining and you're really interested in this. So we're going to see this in just a little bit. Give me a couple minutes and we're gonna come back and take a look at this coming up next, because I know you guys. Welcome back, you guys. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for streaming with us. As promised, I'd like to go out live to Dubai really quickly, where it has struck the clock and we have hit midnight. The clock has struck midnight. We know that the fireworks have been going off in this most incredible display, and this is something that people come from around the world to watch there. You can see the fireworks and LED show that is just spectacular every year. This is the Burj Khalifa that you're taking a look at. This LED show spans the entire length of the building, all more than 2,000 feet. Tallest building in the world there in Dubai. This LED light show and those fireworks started just about 4 minutes ago, as it is now officially 2026 in Dubai there in the United Arab Emirates. So we're going to continue to monitor this, let you know if anything else crazy happens, but I know so many of you were interested in seeing this just a little bit ago and were streaming along with us. So I wanted to bring you back to give you another look. Absolutely incredible to see what they can do. This show spans performers in the water. We saw people playing violin, the fountain show, as well as other performing artists and acrobats. So incredible show there in Dubai. We'll continue to keep an eye on this, but in the meantime, we have some things here locally that I want to keep you guys up to date on. So as we know, a group of monks has been continuing their journey here across Georgia. They've started in Texas and they're making their way to Washington, D.C., and they're walking for peace. Our Denise Dillon caught up with part of their journey today. Denise, I know it's cold out there. I see a lot of people behind you. Tell me what you were experiencing when you were out with the monks this afternoon.
You know, you don't even notice the cold, honestly, because the sun is shining, but more importantly, it really is very exciting out here. The monks arrived about 45 minutes ago. Everybody pulled out their phones, including me, and we got some video. We have two Fox 5 photographers out here because this is such a big deal. Fox 5 photographer Michael Morris took some video, and I hope that we can see it now because it really was a special moment of the monks just walking onto the grounds of the temple here in Snellville. You know, they walked in, and here's what made it really special. One of the monks, who is a monk here at the temple, so he's a local guy, started this 2,300-mile journey with the group, but he was in a car accident. He was badly injured. He had to have his leg amputated, but when the monks arrived here, guess who was here to greet him? Monk Mahadam. He was in a wheelchair, and each one of the monks stopped. They gave him a flower, and they prayed over him. Some of them had tears in their eyes. It was just so special, and it really is a big, deep connection between the community here and the monks and their journey, this journey that so many people around the world have been keeping up with, both in the news, on social media. There's even a monk tracker that people can keep up with them on it. And so when they started coming through Georgia, everybody was on it, right? Everybody wanted to see them, just to get a glimpse of them. And here in Gwinnett, people showed up at 6 a.m. this morning, just hoping to be able to see them. We talked to one woman who is here with her grandson. Her name is Elnisa Dias, and she said she just felt she wanted to be here to, you know, feel a little peace. And we talked to her a little bit earlier.
This is such a peaceful event and a cause, and with the climax of the world now, I think we need a little more love and joy. And going into the new year, 2026, I think this was just a perfect opportunity to kind of come together and just be at peace and love on one another.
Yeah, love on one another and be at peace. That's perfect. So as I said, they arrived about 45 minutes ago. They went to one of the sacred rooms here on the temple grounds. They rested. I mean, they've been walking for hours, some of them without even shoes on. So they sat down, they prayed, they really just chilled out for a while. And then they're going to be coming out. I don't know if you can see it, but there's still a big crowd here behind me. And if you can see now, that big screen in the back, just on the other side of this building is where there's more of the crowd that we really can't see from this vantage point. But the monks have come out of the building and they are going to say a few words. So we want to go over and listen to them and hear what they have to say. Tonight they will also be having a blessing from 6 to 8 here at the temple. So we hope to hear more about that as well.
Me. Denise, this is just incredible to see the community come together for this. I'm curious, where is the temple located? If someone's streaming and says, hey, I want to go out and join in, can you give us a refresher? Can anyone come to this?
Anyone can come to this. Like I said, people started coming here at 6 this morning. It is on Zor Church Road in Snellville. I guess if people are familiar with this area, they might have a better idea. But
Sure.
as soon as you get on Zor Church Road, and it's not that long of a road, they should be able to find it.
Denise, I'm curious, why do you think this has captivated people's attentions like it has?
You know, so many people I talked to earlier all really said the exact same thing. You know, the world is in a bit of chaos right now. Maybe their own lives are in a little bit of chaos right now. And to them, the monks symbolize peace. So this is a peace walk. And they just felt like, you know what, that's what we all need. We need some peace. I need some peace. Let's go there. Let's be part of it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Denise, thank you so much for giving us this look. And I know that they're going to be speaking in a little bit, so I'll let you go back to information gathering, and I know we're going to be talking with you here throughout our live hours as the day progresses. We'll see you back here in our shows. So thanks so much for joining us, giving us a look at what to expect, and talking to all the folks out there. So Denise, thank you so much. Okay, guys, we're going to move on here because I have some other local stories to get to, including how you can celebrate New Year's Eve here in Atlanta. In case you're curious, I know a lot of you might be looking at plans and things that you want to do for the new year. But this year, Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, is doing things a little differently. They're not doing the iconic peach drop like you see here. They're doing something called Countdown over ATL, and it's their new New Year's Eve celebration. It involves a drone show and synchronized fireworks. It's replacing the iconic peach drop that so many of us know and love. There's a few reasons for that I'm going to get into, but let me tell you what to expect. A digital drone peach is going to start the countdown to midnight. It starts at 11:45 tonight, and then after that, 12 minutes of fireworks are going to happen right at midnight, so 12 for 12. Mayor Andre Dickens says you should be able to see this display and show really throughout the Midtown and downtown areas. So a lot of different areas across our city are going to be able to experience this. The mayor hopes that this makes this celebration more accessible for people, so you don't have to travel to underground Atlanta like you might have in years past and go so far. Also, it's a safety thing, right? There are a lot of people who used to cram into the underground Atlanta. Now they're going to be dispersed throughout the city. So this is something that you can enjoy this evening if you would like to do so. Also, just a good reminder that because it is going to be loud and out and about outside of the underground Atlanta area, to just keep an eye on your pets and others who might be scared of these loud noises. But I'm going to move on here to another story here locally, because this is something we have been following with our Angelique Proctor. And at this point, I want to let you know what to expect with a senior facility called Veranda on Hilliard Street. Our Angelique Proctor is speaking to a woman who is a family member, Angelique, I understand, who lives in the facility, who says that that facility is just not safe and things aren't being done that should be done. So, Angelique, can you tell me what's going on?
Well, good afternoon to you, Ariel. We are here at Veranda at Auburn Point in Southeast Atlanta, and I got to tell you, a lot of the seniors here are frustrated, and some of them are even scared because they wonder what will happen if there were a fire to break out or a real emergency here. They're having problems with the elevators not working, and they say this isn't an isolated situation. They tell me this has been going on for a very long time. In fact, everybody I talked to today described it as a couple of years or so, the elevators are constantly on and off, working, not working, working, not working. So take a look here. This is the scene. Many of the residents have walkers, they have wheelchairs, and we actually met a man today who was visually impaired and was walking with a cane. He was taking the stairs because he said the elevator on his side was not working. Now, Veranda at Auburn Point is on Hilliard Street in Southeast Atlanta, and it services seniors 55 years and up. In fact, we talked to a man who was 98 years old who says that these elevators are a problem for him. Many of them say that they end up stranded on the upper floors.
We all in danger. I realize that. But it's just so far we can do, and I don't know how to fix no elevator. In a wheelchair, you can't get down, and they they find out the elevator broke, make everybody a little angry, everybody gets frustrated. A lot of them say, I got to get to the doctor, and I can't get to the doctor. And people don't want to walk up the steps or go down. And they have to cancel their appointments, and visitors, they don't want to travel, and they concerned about their mothers and fathers in this building.
Now, in addition to the broken elevators, residents are also complaining about roaches. They say there is a roach infestation in this building, and they say people from the outside are coming in and sleeping in the lobby. They consider that also unsafe. We talked to an 81-year-old resident who actually showed us his apartment and said it is roach infested.
Angelique, I'm looking, and I don't think we have that second soundbite from you. So if you don't mind, tell me. I know you spoke to William Bradley. He was that resident. So his apartment was infested with roaches. What was he telling you about that?
So he says that right now he's staying with his daughter. Things are so bad that he does not feel comfortable sleeping in the apartment. He says when he walks in, the roaches just start attaching to him and making him feel uncomfortable. So he leveled with me and said, for the last month or so, I have been with my daughter now. He also said that he has complained to management about this, but they have not really come down and done anything. But we did just moments ago get a statement from the Integral Group. They actually own the building, and they tell me that they take residents' concerns very seriously. As with any multi-story building, elevators can experience occasional service interruptions, and during the holiday season, elevator service providers are often stretched thin as technicians also observe the holidays. Even in those periods, at least one elevator remains operational and available to residents. Now, residents deserve housing that is professionally managed, and that is the standard that we maintain. Integral says we welcome legitimate concerns raised in good faith and address them promptly. At this time, any characterization that suggests abandonment or chronic disrepair or disregard for seniors did not reflect the reality of how this property is run. So that is the very latest from the other side, but I can tell you I have spoken to at least 5 residents today who say these elevators have been out for an extremely long time. And they even said last week during Christmas that both elevators were out because apparently there are 2 elevators in the building here, one on each end. And so what the company is saying, Integral, is that one of the elevators is always operational. We're here today and one is operational, but it's that big elevator that is down. And they have talked about many people having to miss medical appointments because they cannot get on that elevator and get down, and they say that it is a chronic situation.
Angelique, this is just heartbreaking for the residents that have to experience this. And you know, you want to be fair to both sides, and that's something I know we're going to continue to unpack as you gather information on this story. At the same time, you know, the company's saying, hey, we have elevators that work. We always make sure at least one's up and running. But it sounds like the residents are saying, you know, this has been going on for a really long time. And beyond that, the issues they say they're facing aren't just the elevators. It's also cleanliness of the facilities, safety at the facilities. So I think the big question is just what can be done here? Who needs to get involved to try to figure this out? Do we know if the city is involved in this property at all? Is it privately owned?
Well, this property is owned by the Integral, but I believe the city of Atlanta tends to place people here. Many of them have told me that they've complained to the mayor's office. I talked with the mayor's office today. They said because of the holiday, they're going to be a little slower to respond, but they too have been notified and are very much interested. Everybody wants to see these seniors do well and have very good living conditions. It's actually a very beautiful building I walked through today, but we did see several signs that indicated elevator not working. So there is definitely some credence to what we are hearing from many of these residents. Let's just hope that the attention will get I think they are saying it's an issue of elevator repair, not that it's, the management doesn't want to get it done, but just getting those parts in here and the technicians in here. And that's the other thing they say. They constantly fix them, but they break again. And so it's just a back and forth is the way it's being described to me by several people.
Angelique, thanks so much for joining us live, explaining this story and where we stand with it, because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone wants to see an elderly person in any kind of bad situation, especially where they live. So I know you'll continue to dig and try to get answers for us. So Angelique, I really appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to information gathering. Thanks so much for joining us. And thank you guys for joining us live here on the last day of 2025, if you can believe it. I can't. Coming up, we're going to speak with meteorologist Alex Forbes about what to expect for your New Year's Eve weather if you're headed out and about this evening. He's going to tell you how cold it's going to be coming up next. Welcome back in. I am Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. Alex, once again, the burning question, how cold is it going to be for New Year's Eve? Am I going to freeze my little tushy off if I'm out at Piedmont Park watching Countdown over ATL? What do I expect?
Yeah, it's going to be cold. That's all you need to know. Let's go back to watching the Dubai thing. No, I was enamored by that. Hopefully the drone show tonight over Atlanta is going to be just as good as we were watching there. I've got high expectations, so I hope the city knows. Yeah, there you go.
Dubai's incredible. This is they have struck midnight there. It is officially the new year in Dubai, and we were watching the most insane fireworks show just a little bit ago.
Oh, really?
I missed
that part.
You can see the crowd there leading up to the Burj Khalifa, but for us, I don't think we have something of this magnitude in Atlanta, but we are going to have Countdown ATL.
We are.
And that's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to get to see drones and fireworks over Midtown and downtown.
Exactly, and as you alluded to, it is going to be on the cooler side for it. Luckily, it's not not going to be quite as cold as what we've seen over the past couple of days, but it is going to be chilly, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's cold. It's still cold at the end of the day. 52 has been the warmest we've been so far now in Atlanta. 46 in Canton, 46 in Blairsville, 50 over in Hartwell, and 52 in Milledgeville at this hour. All right, so the wind, it's still out there. It's not as strong as it was. Makes it feel like it's 49 right now in Atlanta, 40 in Canton, 41 in Gainesville, 49 in Athens, and 52 down there in Milledgeville. So here we go into the evening tonight. Sunset is going to be just before 6 o'clock. 5:40 something, I think, is the official sunset time. Temperatures sliding down into the 40s. Now, as things begin to pick up, the events start 9, 10 o'clock. Temperatures are going to continue to fall here down into the 30s before all is said and done. And then we ring in the new year after that. All right. So high fire danger, worth noting, that's still around really today and tomorrow. It's the combination of the dry vegetation, the low humidity, and the winds across north and central Georgia. All of that combined, you mix in some fireworks, and you can get into some situations that you don't want to necessarily be in, right? So keep an eye on those embers as they come down. I'm not saying don't enjoy the fireworks, still enjoy them, but, you know, just keep an eye on them as they make their way back down to the surface. Looking for 34 later on in Atlanta. That's going to be tomorrow morning just before sunrise. Our average low is 36, so we'll be in that ballpark tonight. And then for tomorrow, New Year's Day, headed back up to 59 degrees, and there will still be confetti falling at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Probably. Maybe. 55 in Canton, 56 in Gainesville, 59 in Athens, and 60 down in Eatonton. Now, I made a small update to the forecast here. I'm shifting more of the rain and storm chance into Saturday rather than Friday. As early as of this morning, you know, we were still talking about late Friday rain. Well, now that's looking more and more like Saturday, and likely lasting a little further into Saturday. So weekend plans, Sunday's your day. Saturday's probably not your day. Not a total washout, but it is going to be on the wetter side. As temperatures, all right, 61, 65, 67 into next week. Headed back on the warmer side.
Interesting how we keep having this pendulum effect, Alex.
Welcome to Georgia.
Yeah, it's the truth. Okay, well, not so bad. Nice job with the forecast. Thank you so much. You know, I know you worked hard on this, so but you guys, if you're headed out, let us know. We're looking at your TikTok comments, and I got to shout out Crazy Mikey, who moved from YouTube to TikTok to keep up the conversation and talk to us.
Yeah.
He just said Georgia's weather is bipolar. Yes, we agree, as we were just discussing.
Story of my life.
And also, Crazy Mikey's asking everyone's 2026 New Year's resolutions. So real quick, Alex, before I let you go, what's your resolution? Do you have them? Do you make them?
So my bigger thing is not so much a resolution, but I like to play a game with myself and have a prediction.
Okay. All right. A prediction game.
Something just kind of off the wall. I had a couple of things that were top of mind, but I think the biggest thing that I would be watching for in 2026, at least as it relates to Atlanta, is that that development that's down south of Mercedes-Benz. I think all that gets greenlit, and you know, this time next year we're going to be talking about, okay, here it comes.
Okay, that's Alex's prediction. More development for Atlanta. I like it.
But it's that particular spot. I forget the name. It's got a name.
It's the downtown part of. I know what you're talking about.
It's all those skyscrapers that will change the skyline.
Yes. Alex, thanks so much. Okay, guys. As we continue here with New Year's Eve, I'd like to take you out live. We were just looking at the Dubai New Year's Eve program and what they were doing there. So we're going to get to that. We're now taking a look at what we are seeing in Times Square, New Year's Eve there, as people are beginning to line up. You can already see them behind the barricades in the upper right of your screen. Just incredible to think, because a lot of people stand out there just for hours waiting to see the ball drop tonight. Final preparations were underway. Over 1 million people are expected to ring in the new year. They're in Times Square in New York City. The iconic Times Square ball took a test run. It's going to take 2 minutes for it to come down from the top of a 139-foot pole before it plunges into 2026. And what's wild about this is that the New Year's Eve ball this year is its biggest yet. It is the 9th and newest iteration of the ball, the Constellation ball, and it measures 12.5 feet in diameter. It weighs over 12,000 pounds, and it's adorned with 5,280 crystals crystals and LED light pucks, nearly double the number of crystals of the previous ball. And this is not going to be the only time we're going to see the Times Square ball drop this year. It's also going to descend July 4th of this year for America's 250th birthday. So absolutely incredible. We're going to keep an eye on this. You're taking a look live there in the upper left at Times Square, and then to the right there, you can see people on the ground as security is pretty tight there in Times Square, working to make sure that people stay safe. They have New York City sanitation trucks and other things set up to make sure that people have barricades. You can see officers scanning people as they work to get in past the Times Square barricades to get there to be able to watch the ball drop. So people are starting to make their way in now, but we know that security preps are underway, and that's going to be a pretty big focus of the new year this year, as it is truthfully every year. But we want to make sure that you stay up to date on that. Speaking, though, of the new year, I'm going to talk about some changes coming to some programs in the new year as it relates to your SNAP benefits. So this affects quite a few states, but in 2026, there's going to be some cuts to SNAP and also some changes to the minimum wage in some states. In 5 states, Americans who get government help paying for their groceries will see new limits on soda, candy, and other foods they can buy with those benefits. Now, this is all a part of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again initiative. Health and Human Services has been championing this, and the SNAP ban will take effect Thursday, New Year's Day, in Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, Utah, and West Virginia. So really a lot of Midwestern states where there's going to be limits on soda, candy, and other foods with your SNAP benefits. They're going to be the first of at least 18 states to enact waivers that would prohibit the purchase of these foods with SNAP dollars. Meanwhile, workers at the bottom end of the minimum wage pay scale in 19 states are set to see minimum wage increase on New Year's Day. 3 other states planning minimum wage increases later in the new year. 20 states have already opted to have their minimum wage still set at the federal minimum of $7.25 an hour, which has not changed for quite some time. But continuing on, something else nationally I want to let you guys know about involves where we stand with the Federal Reserve. Because the president has threatened to sue Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell because the president says that Jerome Powell is incompetent. The president has often been frustrated with Jerome Powell over quite a few things. One thing being a renovation project of the Federal Reserve. The president has said it has cost too much money. Another thing has been the chairman's refusal to cut interest rates as the president continues to push him to do so. One of the things as we look at this is that the president feels Jerome Powell has not cut rates quickly enough, or at least the Federal Reserve has not done this. We know that when we look at the new year, despite calls from the president for deeper rate cuts, the Fed has only brought rates down in 3 meetings this year, and we're only expecting them to bring rates down maybe one time in all of 2026. That's something that has been discussed. New details show that officials are really divided over whether or not to cut rates in the new year. Only one more rate, like I said, one cut predicted for the new year. And at this point, some federal officials are worried inflation's not going to drop below the goal of 2% since the December meeting. New data has actually showed that we've had strong growth in the economy with consumer spending spurring a lot of the growth. But at the end of the day, we're trying to see how long that's going to last and how inflation is going to be affected by all of this. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell was appointed by President Trump, and his term expires in May. So something we are going to watch for, you guys. Another story I want to continue to keep you updated on involves that pipe bomb suspect that we have been discussing, accused of putting pipe bombs outside of the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters. And this happened on the eve of the January 6th Capitol riots. He appeared in in court on Tuesday. You're looking at sketches because this is a federal courtroom. Brian Cole Jr. appeared in that federal court in D.C. for a hearing on whether or not he's going to stay locked up before his trial. On the night before the January 6th riots, he's accused of placing pipe bombs outside of buildings that house both the Republican and Democratic national committees. Now, prosecutors say Cole has admitted to making and planting the pipe bombs, telling law enforcement he was frustrated with both political parties. After nearly 5 years, he was arrested at his home in Virginia on December 4th. So it took investigators a long time to try to figure this out. Prosecutors say he needs to stay in jail until his trial. Defense attorneys argue that Cole is not a threat. He should be released under close supervision in the meantime. They say he has no criminal history and, again, isn't a threat to the public. His attorneys also say he's been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and obsessive compulsive disorder. Experts say the evidence against him is going to be hard to overcome, and he does face a maximum of 30 years in prison if he is convicted. So this is a story we'll keep you updated on. Guys, coming up, we are going to get a check of a story that affects a lot of Georgians. We're going to talk about how MedShare is bringing its mission back here to Atlanta. We're going to talk with Health Beat reporter Rebecca Grapevine coming up next. Welcome in, you guys. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for streaming with me on the last day of 2025. It is great to have you here. We're going to speak now with Health Beat reporter Rebecca Grapevine. We were just talking a little bit, Rebecca, about MedShare and what this organization means, how it's bringing its mission back to Atlanta. So tell me a little bit about MedShare. For those who are unfamiliar, what do they do?
Yes, here in Atlanta, we have this nonprofit called MedShare, and the idea is to take perfectly good, unused medical supplies and send them to clinics and hospitals in need all around the world. And they've been doing this for almost 3 decades. They've worked in 120 countries. They were in Jamaica after the recent hurricane. They've been in Ukraine. You name it, MedShare has helped out there.
Wonderful organization, wonderful mission. Tell me how they're getting a little bit more involved in Atlanta in the new year. What does this coming back mean?
Yeah, after COVID, they realized, there's a lot of clinics here in the United States that also need help. And so they're turning some of their attention back domestically. And so what that looks like is they have a huge warehouse and clinics can register, and kind of like Amazon, they can go online and shop in this, warehouse and find what they need and have it sent to them for free, which means that charitable clinics in Georgia can get the supplies they need to care for patients without spending money.
That is incredible. I think about how expensive things are, especially medical supplies, and the idea that we're trying not to waste and we're going to send our surplus to an organization that then is going to make sure it goes to people who need it. Just wonderful. So how can we help? How could we get involved if this is a mission that we would want to be passionate about in this coming new year?
For sure. I mean, obviously you can donate money. You can visit them at medshare.org, but there's other ways too. Church groups and businesses and all kinds of groups can go and volunteer and help out at the clinic, at the warehouse. And if you work in the medical field and you're kind of about to throw away a box of perfectly good stuff, or, a piece of equipment's a little out of date, but it still works great, give MedShare a call. They will take that, they'll put it in their database, and then someone, whether it's a clinic here in Georgia or across the country or across the world, can find it in their online database.
Is there a type of supply that they might need more than others, or, maybe frequently used, frequently asked for, maybe something that goes quickest for them?
Well, it could be anything from as small as sutures or syringes to they have shipped a transformer across the world to help a hospital manage, electricity for its equipment. And one thing they've done here in Georgia, 3 clinics got free ultrasound machines from them so that they can help pregnant moms, ensure that they have healthy babies. And these ultrasound machines were totally fine. They were just being taken off the market by the manufacturer, and they work really great. And so MedShare was able to distribute those to clinics here in Georgia to help them out in that way as well. So literally anything and everything. If it's a medical supply and you're getting rid of it, reach out to MedShare first.
Rebecca, this is just incredible. And, I have your article pulled up. So I just want to point out that it looks like the clinics that got the ultrasound machines were in the Bethesda Community Clinic based in Ball Ground in Cherokee County. And they said that that's going to be on a women's health van that they're deploying in the spring. So that's incredible. And then it also looks like the Macon Volunteer Clinic also got a ultrasound machine through the program. So just incredible to think that this organization does such good work. And while they did look maybe internationally for different communities to help, they're now saying, hey, there's actually a lot of need here at home, and they're turning their attention here and right here in Georgia at that. So it's just, I feel like that's a really exciting thing for people who need this kind of access to be able to get.
We all know Atlanta is a global city, and this is something that's happening locally and globally right here in Atlanta. What could be cooler? It's one of my favorite stories of the year.
Rebecca, I can see why. Anything that surprised you about this before, as we begin to wrap up here? Anything else that you want people to know? Maybe something about reporting on this that surprised you or that you didn't expect?
Yeah, well, one thing they said is, yes, the needs are kind of similar all around the world, but there are some differences. Maybe women in a country, across the world want to have a safe birth at home. So they need a safe birth kit that's very clean. But here, in the United States, we need to make sure that women to have healthy pregnancies are getting the care right when and where they need it. So that ultrasound might be more important. So even though the needs are similar, sometimes how they're meeting those needs looks a little different. And I thought that was kind of cool, food for thought. We have differences, but we're all really similar at the end of the day. We want to be healthy where we are in our homes.
Rebecca, thank you so much for joining me, breaking this story down. I can see why it's one of your favorites of this year. It's really great to see this organization churning some attention right here at home in Georgia. So thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to more conversations with you in the new year.
See you in 2026, Ariel. Thank you.
See you in 2026, Rebecca. Okay, guys, coming up, we are going to continue our New Year's discussions. Our Chris Rosenthal is going to take us out for some celebrations that are going to be happening around the city. He's going to break down what to expect with those. And then we might be able to get you guys a look around the world at some different New Year's celebrations. Like right now, you are taking a look at Doha, Qatar, where we can see a New Year's Eve celebration underway. Just incredible. You're taking a look there at the two twin buildings. It is 11:43 p.m. right now in Doha. So as we continue, we're going to continue to keep you updated on these celebrations, what they mean, and where we are headed. But we know they're going to ring in the new year there in Doha around 4 o'clock today. So really 4 p.m. will be midnight there. We're going to check in on this celebration as it continues. But in the meantime, we are going to look closer to home with Chris Rosenthal coming up next. Welcome in, you guys. I am Ariel Onstad. It is great to have you here streaming along with us. We are keeping you up to date on all things New Year's Eve. And right now, you're taking a live look in Doha, Qatar, where New Year's Eve festivities are underway. There are these incredible shows that have been happening as different countries ring in the new year. We recently saw Dubai, and now Doha is expected to ring in the new year here in just about less than 15 minutes, around 4 o'clock our time. The clock will strike midnight there in Doha. But you're looking at jugglers, other spectacular performers. You know, we've seen acrobats. There are clearly DJs back there. It's a huge party, and there are so many people that are lining Lusail Boulevard there in Doha. It's the main thoroughfare where a lot of people have gathered. You can see kids, lots of families, and there are two big buildings. You can see them up there in the left of your screen. Those are the Qatar Towers, iconic there in Dubai, and they look like cross scimitars. They have the Raffles and Fairmont hotels, the Lusail Plaza Towers also as well, and they have a central bank as well as some other notable businesses. But there you can see those iconic several twin buildings there, 2 and 2, the Qatar Towers and Lusail Plaza Towers, and then Lusail Boulevard right there down the middle where everyone is gathering, getting ready to ring in the new year. So just spectacular. We know that the clock will strike midnight. We expect fireworks, also some drones and a bit of a light show as that country gets ready to ring ring in the new year. A little closer to home, we're also going to have drones. We're also going to have fireworks. Although Chris Rosenthal out live in Piedmont Park getting ready to break down what to expect here in Atlanta. Maybe no acrobats, Chris. Maybe no floating moats. But, you know, I still think Atlanta's going to give us a pretty good show. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think drones sound pretty cool. You know, in absence of the peach drop this year, the city having a peach drone show starting around 11:45. They say it'll be visible from you know, downtown, midtown. So trying to make it something that people can just, you know, in the Atlanta area can look up and see in the sky, something a little decentralized, if you will. So that's something, you know, looking forward to. But you know, also there have been a lot of celebrations today to involve kids in New Year, something a little bit earlier. I was in Peachtree City earlier today at the Avenue at Peachtree City, where they had a noon Year's Eve for the kids. They had a nice little balloon drop as well as other festivities for the kids, and I was there. We have a little bit of video of that of the moment and some sound with some kids. Let's take a listen.
Did you enjoy the New Year's Eve celebration?
It's one of my favorite events, actually.
Really? Why is that? What was the best part?
The best part was getting to spend time with my friends and family. That's the best part.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And so, did you like the balloon drop too?
Definitely.
I like the dance party. Me and my family go out to eat too.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, there's still plenty of other events for kids. The Battery has a countdown around 8 o'clock, and also Stone Mountain has some events around 8 o'clock. They're also going to have a drone show with fireworks and then a countdown at 9. So plenty of events for adults and kids.
Chris, it sounds like Atlanta really is a great place to be, pulling out all the stops. The kids you talk to are so cute. Love to see their enthusiasm for the new year. We have a cute baby being held in the bottom right of our screen with both of us talking. So it's nice to see just families coming out, celebrating the holiday. Where are you going to be, Chris? Do you have any big plans?
No big plans. I'm gonna go out to dinner with some friends and then probably just watch it at home. So
that makes sense. Well, with the celebration this year that
but you know what? I'll Yeah, I think I am going to look out the window, see if I see this drone show, though.
Good. Yeah, I hope we can compare notes, because I'm curious if you're going to see it in the same way I'm going to see it. I like that it's spread out. A lot of people are hopefully going to be able to have a bird's eye view. So, Chris, thanks as always for joining us live, breaking that down, how to explore the new year and celebrate. Speaking, though, of the new year, guys, we're going to move on and go to New Orleans, where a lot of people are planning to ring in the new year because the Sugar Bowl is happening. You're taking a live look there at the Caesars Superdome there in the New Orleans. You can see the downtown area, the high-rise bridge just off there in the distance. That Superdome is going to be packed with fans in just about 24 hours as we get ready to celebrate, well, you know, some of us, right, celebrating a Bulldogs win. Others, of course, pulling for the Ole Miss Rebels. And we know that our Georgia Chambers actually spoke with fans there on the ground in New Orleans about what they're looking forward to. So let's hear what they have to say.
Go Dogs.
Go Rebs.
Go Dogs.
Why do you think Georgia is going to win the Sugar Bowl?
I think our experience, our coach, and I think we're mentally prepared. We've been in this moment before.
We're real confident Georgia's going to win this game big, and then we're going to head out to Arizona.
None of them. I don't like none of them now they're playing.
You got to pick one.
Oh, Miss Georgia, if I had to choose.
Georgia, man. Georgia. The Bulldogs, man. Georgia.
I like Chamberlain. I'm going to say Ole Miss.
Oh, but I like you. You said
Georgia. Georgia.
Can I get a Go Dogs?
Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
Why do you think Ole Miss will win the Sugar Bowl?
We're just the better team.
What makes you think they're the better team?
Running back's better, quarterback's better, whole offense is better.
What you got there? It's a hurricane. I gotta get a hurricane as soon as I get here.
You're supposed to say it's water.
What? Water? Yes, it takes water to have a hurricane.
With Lane Kiffin gone, Pete Golding now in charge, what do you think about the new man?
He's better. Simple as that.
Any question I ask, are you just going to say they're better?
Yep.
We feel fine with Pete. We don't even care about whatever his name is, so we're good.
You're just going to agree with everything she said?
Absolutely, 100%.
I think they're going to give us their best effort, but I don't think it'll be enough still.
How long have you been a Georgia fan?
My whole life. I was born and bred Georgia Bulldog. I'm 64 years old, and all my clothing is red and black.
Go Dogs! Go Dogs! Sick 'em!
It's hard to beat a team twice.
I hope not.
Go Dogs!
Go Dogs!
Oh, well, looks like a lot of fun there in New Orleans as fans are gearing up for the Sugar Bowl. And we do know that the coaches actually spoke to the media. They held a news conference speaking about what to expect. So let's listen in from both head coach Kirby Smart of the Georgia Bulldogs and head coach Pete Golding of Ole Miss.
Good morning and welcome to the final pregame press conference for the college football playoff quarterfinal at the All-State Sugar Bowl. Please turn off all cell phones. Today's press conference features head coach Kirby Smart from Georgia and head coach Pete Golding from Ole Miss. At the conclusion of the press conference, we will have a photo opportunities with the coaches, as well as the All-State Sugar Bowl trophy and representatives of the Sugar Bowl and the All-State Company. We'd like to start with a brief opening statement from Coach Smart.
Yeah, I'll just open with thanking a lot of people. You know, Jeff Hundley is a Sugar Bowl CEO. He's one of the best in the business. He's a UGA guy. He worked at UGA for a while. So I have a lot of appreciation for Jeff and his staff and the tremendous job they've done. It's certainly been a really hard transition on a lot of the people involved in the bowls as we've gone to CFP. You know, this used to be a week-long event, and they had a lot of traditions that I've been a part of for many years. I think my wife and I were talking last night over dinner that it was the 10th or 11th Sugar Bowl that I've been a part of, and I was even a part of a Sugar Bowl in Atlanta, ironically enough, during Katrina when Georgia played West Virginia. So I've been a part of this group for a long time, and it's been amazing. Bowl group, and Jeff and his staff do a tremendous job. Also, Dottie Reese, who was there to meet us right when we got off the plane, she does a tremendous job. She's president of, she's Sugar Bowl president and does an incredible job with the committee. And the committee's been such a great host to us at the hotel. And I feel like I've known Dottie for years, and for her to have her opportunity to be a president, and my wife was commenting last night on how awesome Dottie has been. So the presenting sponsor, Allstate, we thank them too. And thank you guys for the media for covering this, and just excited to get a chance to play an incredible team in Ole Miss. Pete's done a fantastic job taking over for what was already rolling, and you know, it's going to be a great game. I think you're looking at two of the premier programs and two of the premier teams in college football, two teams that earned their right to this game, and excited to get these kids out there and go let them play. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach
All right, so you're listening as Coach Kirby Smart talks about the Sugar Bowl, where we're headed, and then Pete Golding there, head coach of Ole Miss, about to talk and give his remarks as well. But I want to let you guys know what we're looking ahead to, because, as you know, the Sugar Bowl kicks off there in New Orleans, and it is a playoff game. And one thing to keep in mind, if you're wondering when this starts, maybe you've loosely been paying attention, but we do know that this game is going to happen tomorrow at 8 o'clock there in the Caesars Superdome. Going to be packed with fans, so we'll keep you updated right here on Fox Local as this progresses. You're taking a live there at the Caesars Superdome. Beautiful weather there in New Orleans today, but we'll continue to keep you updated here on Fox Local. And of course, you guys, New Year's Eve celebrations tonight. Keep it here. We're going to keep you guys updated. We're just about to ring in the new year in Doha, Qatar, in literally about 3 minutes. The clock's going to strike midnight. You're looking at Lusail Boulevard, where millions of people have gathered to ring in the new year there in Doha. But the news is going to begin at 4 o'clock. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for streaming with me here on the last day of 2025. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll do more news in 2026. you.